This
speakers for
conference will now be recorded.
being with us. This is a very important subject, enhancing agriculture trade. Agriculture is a very important aspect of everybody's life and in day-to-day life also, whether it is fruit, vegetables, or any other agro products. And India's 60% population depends on agro and agro-food and agro-processing and agriculture. India is the second largest producer of agriculture products, but unfortunately we are ninth in exports. We could have been much better, but our logistics system, our value chain system, all is in a disarray, and I think we need to develop that. We were thinking that the DMIC, it would have started within time. The DMIC was there to see that the goods reach the market in time and for exports. But still, it has to see that light of the day, as well as the project, which is hardly now not complete in many of these cities, except few states have been able to complete, but not all the states. And we hope that government will lay emphasis on DMIC so that the value chain system, logistics system could be in the place. Although our exports is hardly 38 billion during the year, whereas India contribute only 17% of GDP and 11% of exports. Our perishable goods during the year is nearly 1 lakh crore. 1 lakh crore, which is a very huge figure. It is something 98,000 or something, but it is nearly 1 lakh crore. And of course, we do have 39 mega food parks. We have 298 cold storage, which is nothing compared to the size of India, length and breadth of India. There are various schemes by the government to see that we have cold storage, we have food mega park. APMC is also trying to work on it, and the Ministry of Food and Agro is also very active. But it has to be implemented. See, every policy of the government which comes out has some riders, and that creates the delay. So I feel that our experts who are going to speak today will throw light on us. We have to carry out a proper study. We have to come out with some good project reports for startups, for new entrepreneurs who wants to come into the agriculture trade or processing or agro processing. You see a very big trade in the world today. Today, fortunately, in spite of COVID, we are able to get all the essential commodities in the market, whether it is fruit, vegetable, or agriculture products. So, which is a very big achievement. But what I feel is that much more could be done. Like at one stage, we see more than 120 million government is already been able to procure this year in agro food products. But there are already 70 million more food is lying outside, the grains and all, which government is not able to procure because of the storage. So we produce more than storage we have. We heard earlier that it is to get spoiled. Similarly, fruit and vegetable gets 40% spoiled before they reach the market. So we have to see that logistic system is in place. We are able to reach the market in time, and the agriculturalist, whoever is a grower, gets the price and value for the produce what they make. Unfortunately, they do not get much of value for the produce they make. There are a lot of intermediaries. There are a lot of in-between people who take the cake and they work for it. So I feel that the overall system needs to be put in place where we have proper logistic, value chain system, cold storage, and exports. With these few words, I welcome all the speakers, Dr. Mukherjee, Mr. Watts, Madam Rani, Mr. Nakata, Mr. Dudgaonkar, Mr. Shah, and Mr. Awari. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I look forward to hear from you and your expert advice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kalantri sir, for your opening remarks. And as he rightly stated, post COVID-19, the agri sector especially is expected to draw a lot of attention worldwide. We have a very learned panel, and I would now invite Dr. Arpita Mukherjee, the moderator. She is a professor at Agri and has over 25 years of experience and works closely with the Government of India as well as policymakers in the European Commission and its member states, also the US, ASEAN, and East Asian countries. Her research areas include trade and investment, WTO, bilateral and regional trade agreements, e-commerce, SCZs, economic corridors, food supply chain startups and entrepreneurs, along with retail, ICT, food processing, and other sector studies. So it's a very vast zone that she covers, and today she's going to talk to us about various policy initiatives by the government and the global perspective. And later on, we'll moderate the entire session. So before I request Dr. Mukherjee to take over, a request to everyone other than the speakers to kindly mute their mics so that there is no disturbance. And also, whatever questions you have, please use the chat box in the GoToMeetings app and type your questions so that they can be taken later on. Dr. Mukherjee, please take it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anil, and I would like to thank the World Trade Center for giving me this opportunity. Yes, this event is at a very apt time because agriculture is the most essential commodity. You cannot stop a food supply chain even in a pandemic situation. But however, the impact has been very different in the case of the domestic and the export food supply chain, because with sudden stop of all the exports, it's the perishable products that face a lot of issues. And therefore, in today's meeting, I think we will have a lot of discussions on how to keep our food supply chain running. Yes, India has the ability to attract a large share of the agricultural trade, and we have a wide, diverse agricultural basket. We have a strength in very value-added and high-value crops like organic. But we are also at a time when, food has been questioned, food safety and health has been questioned, because this pandemic is questioning the food safety and health, and therefore there is a need to look into better safety designs. And I'm very happy that we have two key players here with us, APIDA and EIC, which are actually looking into a system of ensuring a quality assurance and food safety standards and meeting the standards of the core importing countries like the US and the European Union. And it will be good to hear more from them about what kind of measures that they plan to take to ensure food safety and standards and to have a smooth certification process. Then we have a number of people from the industry, and the industry is today suffering, especially the MSMEs. Like, their production has been stopped. They are unable to meet the global demand, and they had to put a stop to their production. Yet in the initial stages, there was a worry how they will pay wages. Yet they have a worry that, if the workers go back, how do they attract them back? So all these worries are affecting their agri trade exports, and in April almost exports have been zero. Government has given certain stimulus, but the initial set of stimulus may or may not be beneficial. While we have been doing surveys, and we understand that where farmers have been receiving some money in their bank account, the agricultural laborers have been at a very disadvantaged position. MSME industries are at a disadvantaged position because initially they were supposed to ask to give salaries when they were not able to make any revenues. This kind of a situation, a model which says, okay, you don't need to pay taxes, doesn't really help. But there is a need for a subsidy, and the foreign trade related subsidies, although they have been extended for one more year, we faced the challenge in the WTO by the US almost like 2 years ago, and we lost the case last year. So we need to really look into our subsidy regime. Although this regime has been extended for one more year, we really don't know how much benefit will be there from this regime, and how much benefit the government will really have to subsidize exports and export growth. Many activities that we were doing before COVID, like organizing physical fairs, event, promotional campaigns, branding, will now have to go online and will be more technology driven, and that is something where I would require more inputs from the members. How would they like it to be, how the platforms would work. And we also need to look into other countries, like certain countries which did not go into complete lockdown but yet have a good agriculture exports. For example, Sri Lanka is now exporting more tea. Vietnam is exporting a lot of rice. So therefore, we even in a lockdown phase, some countries were operational, and Sri Lanka has already opened up from today onwards. So we do also face a competition in this lockdown situation. There is a competition. So this is kind of the core framework of discussion based on my own judgment and some of the brainstorming that I had with WTC members for the past 1 week. Having said that, I would now give the floor to the speakers, and each speakers will have around 10 minutes to make their points, and we will actually come back to them at the end with certain questions and answers. For the others, I have requested, I have already seen some notes coming up in the chat, which I will be going through, and we will address as many as possible. So without wasting much time, I'm now giving the floor to Mr. Vats, General Manager, APIDA. Mr. Vats?
I'm just joining on video. If video is off from your side, I can just speak.
That is fine.
I'm trying to be on video.
Mr. Vats, you need to start your webcam. I can see your webcam is off.
Webcam is on. Webcam is on. I'm sharing my webcam.
Yeah, no.
More important to hear you, because that webcam, I don't know why it's not working.
Okay. Anyway, see, I am UK Vats for the information of all the participants. I am General Manager in APIDA. It's Agricultural and Processed Food Export Development Authority. So I've been given 10 minutes. I will speak briefly. We export if you say perishable, then I'll first take perishable. Perishable means onions, vegetables, mangoes, grapes, other fruits. Uh, that is under purview of APIDA amongst the perishable. Beyond that, it is floriculture and some seeds which are being exported. So around 4 lakh to 4 lakh 25,000 metric ton of fresh produce is exported per month by India. Uh, as you know, the share of grapes, pomegranate, and mangoes in that order, followed by banana, is the major item. So, except the product which were, shipped by sea, we were suffering a lot in lockdown period due to all various problems. Lockdown means no manpower, no opening of pack houses. So, for export purpose, especially to Europe, there was no pack house available during COVID time, and we are now recovering. The items which are exported by sea is onions and mangoes to nearby destination as well as to Southeast Asia. So we have recovered a lot in that sector. We are exporting through JNPT port. Now coming to some other processed foods like cucumber and gherkins, which were being exported to USA. Then mango pulp. Mango pulp has not started. Then other processed vegetable and ready to eat vegetables and juices, etc. Amongst that also, we were exporting around 1 lakh ton per month of this processed item, and almost zero in lockdown period. So yes, the sector is suffering a lot, especially processed food, which were shipped by sea only. But since the units were not working, they were all unit based. Like if you go to cucumber and gherkin, it is a Bangalore region which was processing and exporting. So it completely came to a halt. There was no order, there was no sea customs facility, cargo handling agency, etc. were not available during first phase, means from March end to half mid of April, nothing was available. So the export has come down to maybe 20% or so. Even when the ports opened, the cargo agents came, and the customs authority and plant quarantine authority came into picture, then only recovery began, and it is, I can say, it is not more than 25% in process sector. In the reverse, if you see horticulture, we are getting very positive signs from many countries. They are trying to import and you know not imposing the very high standard these days, because it is now becoming a question of feeding of essential commodities. If I take example of Middle East, whatever the constant relation India has developed with Middle East countries, the uh, the export is dependent upon the Indian population in Middle East countries. So it was continuing by all means. People started in the end of March by flying the cargo flights from India, because it is a rule in Middle East that you have to maintain a limited stock even in all conditions. So they were otherwise there is a penalty. So Middle East is is a region where a lot of people was interested to buy Indian fruit and vegetable, and India has come off very well with starting the movement by air, and that's how it is happening. Now coming, this is was the brief in situation. Now coming to incentive, I wanted to talk about incentive also. Incentive is available to a registered member of exporter with us in APIDA by infrastructure development, crucial infrastructure. So we have around assisted around 100 pack houses where we have given the high humidity cold storage, 40% of total cost, and the total pack house means sorting, grading, mechanized handling, etc., etc. That we give 40%, and the highest limit is 1 crore. So we have been receiving lot of application in the past, but in COVID period and beyond COVID, this seminar is beyond COVID also. So for the information of all the participants in agri sector, the pack house subsidy is available, and it is unique. It is not same as National Horticulture Board or Ministry of Food Processing or MIDH in agriculture. It is a unique scheme, and people are taking this assistance. Beyond that, we actually assist people in marketing also, and the quality, the labs which they can establish in their pack house, that is also assisted by us. The limits are different, and people who are interested to see can see website that there is a guideline and application format, etc. So beyond that, if somebody asks, so it is divided into three parts. One is infrastructure, second is quality including lab, etc. Third is the marketing assistance by participation in international exhibition, etc. And nowadays we are holding reverse buyer seller meet as well. We are holding the video conferencing buyer seller meet also. So this is all part of what we do in APIDA to assist exporters, and we are part of many forums like Niti Aayog has invited us, and Ministry of Food Processing has invited, Ministry of Agriculture has invited us to be part of how to tackle the COVID situation as well as beyond COVID. So by this, I will end right now. I think I have taken 10 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Watts, and thank you for being very precise and to the time. It is good to know that the incentives are being offered to the exporters for infrastructure, quality, and marketing, and the initiatives that are being taken by APIDA. It will also be very nice to hear from you later what kind of help can you provide to the exporters in terms of implementing food safety and quality standards for their future exports, as well as for their technology upgradation, which we will come back to in the next round of discussions. May I now go to Ms. Mamta Rani, Deputy Director, Export Inspection Councils. This is the Export Inspection Council is the official export certification body, and Mamta ji will be able to throw light on a number of sectors where there are need for having a lot of control processes in place, like milk, honey, poultry, egg, along with a number of areas like basmati rice.
Hello. Hello, am I audible there?
Can hear.
Yes, Mamta ji, you are, yeah.
Okay. So I would like to share my presentation also. Is it feasible?
Yes, just give me a minute, please. Yeah, you can share now.
Is it being shared?
Not yet. You have to share your screen.
Okay.
At the bottom. Screen.
To go down and click on the screen share, which is next to the
Camera.
next to
Camera.
the camera.
I'm trying
Hello,
to
there is
do
one
it.
request. Can all the attendees write their names below, because it's a attendee number 217, attendee number 220. We cannot make out who is the person behind.
Sir, at present, this particular feature is disabled for the attendees. So you will not be, the attendees will not be able to see other attendees.
Yeah, is it visible
I want
now?
to see. No, I am seeing the name of the attendee. Name of the
Yeah,
attendee,
we
because
will.
if it is
Okay.
below that,
Yeah, we will do it. Yes, Miss Mamta, we can. Yeah, Miss Mamta, we can see the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, please. And I would like to first of all explain what we do actually in our export documentation. Before I go for that, I would like to give just introductory about my EIC, which is an advisory body and has set up under the Quality Control and Inspection Act 1963, under which we notify commodities that can be subject to quality control and or inspection prior to export, and then we establish standards of quality for such notified commodities, as well as then specify the type of quality control or inspection to be applied to such commodities. So as the Arpita madam has told, that we have a lot of commodities under our role, and because there are various policies, decisions or policies are formulated at EIC level, and to work on to implement the measures being drafted in those policies, we have 5 regional offices to implement all those measures, and those regional offices are available at Chennai, Delhi, Kochi, Kolkata and Mumbai. In Mumbai, wherein I am working, in every regional office they are having the branches and sub offices at various centers, like 7 sub offices are there at Chennai, and then we have again 7 sub offices in Delhi, like Jaipur, Indore, Ludhiana, Jalandhar, and in Kochi we have 3 sub offices, Kolkata we have 1, and with Mumbai we are again having 8 sub offices. And this is how our structure is, wherein we try to come up with the solutions for the exporters or the trade, wherein all the documentation requirements, what kind of services we do provide, we have two modes of services, wherein one is of compliance nature and other is of pre-compliance nature. In compliance nature, we issue certificate of origin. That is a compliance requirement of importing countries, like e-health. We issue health certificates also for the food commodities. Then we issue authenticity certificates for basmati rice, and pre-shipment inspection is also there, wherein the countries like Turkey and other countries, they ask for the goods to be inspected, and then laboratory testing is also one of the complying requirements which we provide to the trade. Then in pre-compliance, we have technical assistance for the trade. Then we recognize the laboratories by assessing them. Ki, okay, they have the set standards or the methods which are validated as per the importing country requirements. Then we have recognition of inspection agencies also as one of the pre-compliance activity. Then we do the residue monitoring plan, which is also the pre-compliance requirement of importing country authorities, wherein they ask for annual residue monitoring check, and then the kind of corrective action taken in case of finding residues in the products. Then we have a committee for quality control and trade dispute handling also. So that is our major services that we provide to the trade. And during lockdown period, we are able to do a lot of work, because most of the certificate of origin, it has been transferred to the online platform, and the online platform is co.dgft.gov.in, wherein exporters can register themselves, and that page is very well user friendly. Before the lockdown period, we have already started for the Chile, SAFTA and SAPTA for Nepal, Korea. Before the lockdown period, okay, we were already issuing these online certificate of origin. But then for SAFTA, SAPTA for other countries, for South Asia, then AIFTA for Southeast Asian countries, Japan, IGCPA, ISFTA for Sri Lanka, then Asia Pacific countries mostly, which is China is mostly the importing country. So we have started with these countries and these papers also. So online, there was bit issue with the Indonesia. They were that country was not accepting the online generated certificates. So anyhow, with the DOC intervention, now they have accepted. So we still have the issues with Thailand and Vietnam, and DOC is in negotiation with all these countries so that they can accept all these online issued certificates. And in case of APTA for China, 11 May onwards, they are also going to accept our online issued certificates. Because now earlier there was an issue wherein we had to sign and stamp the paper, these online issued certificates also. But now those signatures and stamp is also impregnated on these online certificates. So with this online platform is totally complete now, but there are still certain manual certifications which is being happening at the moment. That is for GSP in case of Russia, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and then GSTP, then IMCPA Malaysia के लिए, ISCA for Singapore, ITFTA for Thailand, and India Mercosur countries. So in few coming days, I think that will also, we will work on them, and that they will be also the part of online CO platform. So this good thing is, now we have been forced to enter the digital era. Before the we would have been able to do that, or with the whole preparations. So now we are forced to enter early. So that is one good thing happened. So during lockdown period, in case of health certification, our website, that is eacindia.gov.in, we were issuing the health certificate online as well, wherein online fee payment mode is available, and then test reports, as per the compliance parameters with regard to importing country authorities or the buyer, whatever the parameters requisite are there. So they were also being accepted now in the online mode, and health certificate is generated. Still the acceptance of the authorities, they ask for the stamp, sign and scan document through the official mailbox of us, that we are able to do. We are doing it, and these certificates in hard copy are also delivered. And then as the case basis, we are working on certain problems, like for basmati rice, and for the other new countries, for the non basmati rice also for the export. Then case to case basis, whatever problem comes, we are working on that, and we are resolving the issues on daily basis. So our office office, Mumbai export document generation that we are able to do till now for fish and fishery products. In total, we have been able to generate 193 certificates for the 3667 metric ton of fish and fishery products, out of which 150 consignments were for aquaculture, counting to 2850 of metric ton of the aquaculture, and most of the export is happening for the China. And whereas for fruit products for non-EU countries, we have been able to generate the health certificates for 518 metric tons, and then for gelatin it is for 219 metric tons, and for voluntary 252 metric tons. That this is the for Mumbai region that we are able to do this kind of work, that too through online mode only, so through digital mode only. And for nationwide from 24th March to 4th May, during this lockdown period, certificate of origin and HC generation, that common this digital platform has been able to deliver through us 6,134 certificate of origin. So that was a big number. Suppose this is during the lockdown period, and now you can imagine this, the quantum of work when this lockdown will be over and all that. So we will be able to generate a lot of certificate with that. And total number of COs through the EIAs जो हैं EIC CO module से, that is 1463. And then health certificates we are able to issue at the tunes of 4,000. Then non-GMO certificate almost 350. So this is during this time period only we have been able to do that. And yes, of course there are challenges, because production facility level challenges are there, and documentary evidence generation, that is another challenge, because now in production facility actual challenges for maintaining the social distancing and sanitary requirements. Then there is a labor shortage, logistic disruptions are all there, so manpower control is becoming also very cumbersome. So we can generate the certification until or unless we receive the satisfactory documentary evidences. Okay, so in that case we need the test reports, we need their invoices, their everything, their production, their batch codes and everything. So all these production level difficulties are gonna to disrupt the further process also. So documentary evidences generation, like now there will be new demand for having the medical certificates from the manpower of the industrial manpower, that they should have a COVID-19 free status. So in case of implementation arrangements, there are major problems, because a lot of infrastructure projects, they are getting delayed. Like development of harbors was one of the project wherein these hygienic harbor development for the fish industry was going on, and these projects will be considerably delayed, and naturally they will delay for achieving the quality targets of the finished goods for the export as per the export requirements. Then there will be another challenge, will be on-site FSMS audit hassles, and that is going to stay there. And then quality measures of importing country, they are also getting more stringent. Like Qatar recently, they had this COVID-19 free status certificate requirement, which by the way of the negotiations with the Indian authorities, they have now agreed ki okay, they will not ask for the time being. But yes, we should project this could be the stringent quality measures projections in the coming time. And for this we need to work together on this. And first of the possible solution, whatever online certifications or export documents which the Indian authority is generating, they should be acceptable to the importing country authorities. So a lot of negotiation time is going on in those tasks also. So we are trying our best, Department of Commerce is doing their best to make it acceptable. Then with regard to on-site FSMS audit assessment hassles and all that, then with regard to production facilities difficulties, so only the verification access of compliance parameters by the manufacturing facilities through confirmation mode could be the possible solution at the right time at this time. So later on maybe we can evolve much into it. And of course looking forward to the this possible stringent quality measures by the importing countries, we need to be to have the proactive measures with us, with by proper by having proper awareness among the trade training, effective training, and then knowledge sharing. I think with this, I would like to close it. I think my time would be sufficient to, and thanks for listening to it. Thank you, please.
Thank you, Ms. Rani, and you have been very precise to the point, giving us the overview of the areas where actually physical certification, because in certain cases, physical certification had been mandatory in the past, like vet certifications and other certifications, which can now we can now really look into acceptance of a online certification, and in that, once the online certificate is accepted, it will be also very easy for us to go for an risk management system in the develop our own custom risk management system, which is completely online and kind of attached to the different competing authorities. May I now request Mr. Santoshi Nagada, the Chief Strategy Officer of Agri Bangalore Private Limited, to actually talk a lot about our network with foreign companies. Now, I would really like to hear your stories on Japanese companies, because Japanese are very, very conscious of food safety and health standards. I understand from SMEs that it's tough to do business in Japan, while the Japanese have a lot of loyalty, but it is tough to get into the Japanese agriculture market. And we would like to hear your views on agriculture, startups, technologies, and the market.
Okay, thank you for your introduction. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm launching up my presentation. So, okay, sorry. Okay, please wait for a while, please. I'm putting my presentation for. Okay. It will work. Okay. Nice to meet you, everybody. I'm Satoshi Nagata, coming from Japan, and I'm a representative for Agri Bangalore Private Limited. The Japanese agri-tech company from Japan. Yeah. So let me briefly introduce myself. I have experienced almost 5 industries, including agriculture, and then my practice is HR, sales and marketing, and also overseas business. Overseas business mainly, I have experienced almost 3 years here in India, Bengaluru. Also, this COVID-19 situation, I have been staying in Bengaluru from my home. Yeah. Okay. First of all, I'd like to explain our company. Sagri, this company name stands for Sustainable Agriculture and Smart Agriculture. We are using satellite and farmland images for solving farmers' problems. Yeah. Then we are coming to India since September 2019 by the support of India-Japan government initiative, India-Japan Startup Hub. Yeah. Then we keep going on our service here in India. Okay, but this is our presence in Japan. In Japan, our main clients are state government and central government. Okay. Today's agenda. There's 5 agenda. So I made too much presentation, so I have to go quickly. Then today's topic is regarding export. So in terms of digital and export, the food traceability is a very good phrase for everybody here, because this is a food traceability definition by Codex. Codex is a world standard organization. So this means this food traceability means who made this crop. Then when this crop made, then this crop is not non-chemical or organic. Like this standard, like this is a food traceability purpose. It means tracking the food movement. Yeah. So in this context, why we have to take care of food traceability? As I'm coming from Japan, unfortunately, Japan's self-production ratio of grains is just 28%, and also considering a calorie basis self-production rate of food, we can only produce our foods just 40%. But compared with India, India is 110%. So it means, including Japan, these countries must and need to import food from overseas. In that time, and maybe you may aware, Japanese is too conscious about the quality and food safety, and also when made, and also like one day one very strictly concentrate on the rule and quality. So food traceability means and express a lot of importance to these countries. And also these days, customers' tendency and the customers' trends are getting changed. Somebody very emphasis on organic, somebody very emphasis on non-pesticide, somebody also taking care of food allergy. So this information is covered by food traceability. Then in this context, food traceability stands a lot of meaning for everybody. And also, especially in Japan, if you want to sell organic crop in Japan, you have to get a Japanese agriculture standard certificate by Japanese Ministry of Agriculture. So it is not equals to Indian government organic farming certification. So in this context, you can, if you have a good food traceability availability, you can go easily to get each Japanese organic certificate. Maybe also apart from Japan, maybe each country has an organic and also non-chemical certificate in each country has. So in that case, if you wanna export food from India to Japan, you need to take care of regulation. To support regulation follow-up, digital technology support roughly 6 points supporting. Maybe almost all people, audience coming from agriculture background, maybe you may aware of the story of the Indian agriculture story. At first, India has too many middlemen, like retailers, wholesalers, and also many people is from consumer from farmers to consumer. So in this case, tracking the logistics and also specifying who made this crop identification is very difficult. So, but if digital, just a small application like a smartphone, okay, and also just tagging RFID or just like a scanning barcode, it's okay. So that this kind of technology enable you to tracking, and also in case once you scan the code of the label of crops or vegetables, you can easily getting the who made this vegetable and also what is the quantity of proper products that you can easily get, and also customer can satisfy. So all these including good point bringing by digitals. But I'd like to say digital not means machine learning or machine learning or more too much sophisticated technology I've not mentioned. So just so you can begin with using Excel for tracking or using a smartphone and repeatedly. That the small steps enables you to go more nice food traceability benefits. Okay, then maybe today is really thank you for invitation me to this seminar. So and also I would also almost all of you coming from Maharashtra. I have a good example from Maharashtra state I'd like to explain. This is a Bharat Agri. This is a kind of digital platform for agriculture. Then, okay, roughly, they're very sophisticated and good talent. They are specified. They are honored by Forbes under 13, Forbes under 30 to entrepreneurship. Then they are into the growers and value chain support they're doing. What they are doing is including weather-based advice, and then they can track the calendar farmers' activity, and also they can library support the farm way, and also they are connecting from farmers to customer. This means direct connection from farmers to consumers. It means very easy for tracking because the one way connection from farmers to consumers. Then this digitalization is very good in Maharashtra. Then they have a 1.5 lakh farmers in their service, and also good testimonials coming from the farmers also in Maharashtra. This is a figure out. So it means by digital, this is mainly application. Application means connecting in each industry. So connecting means if the stable data is there through application or Excel file or CVs, that these format can easily go through to each industry, like insurance company or supplier. Everybody can use it. Then this is visible for everybody. Well, this is their project for Maharashtra and some organization. So maybe you can download this one. And also the activity working in also this COVID-19 situation. Okay, time is running up, so I'd like to more quickly fast. Okay, then last of all, as long as I'm Japanese, so I'd like to explain briefly our technology, how to support farmers in India. And our solution is combining farmland data, mass data, and also using satellite images, combining each other, then making a credit for farmers. So why we are coming in India is mainly is creditability of farmers is a very terrible problem here. That's why we are here. Then our project overview is like this. We are alliancing with a lot of startups and also farmers product organization, and also including and also National Association for FPO. We are alliance with them based on their farmers networking. We are suggesting the satellite imagery model, and also how is the data usage and digitalization of farmers list and visibility of how is the farmers record going on past 3 years, last 1 year, like that we can collecting. Then based on that we can create a credit history for farmers. Based on that we try to do microfinance with our NBFC partners. This is our project case in Karnataka. This is a Chintamani tomato belts. We're doing some test case. If possible, we would like to expand our test case in Maharashtra also. Okay, and then as a conclusion, food traceability is one phrase for digital technology. And the digital technology has a lot of good benefits for make a good brand for your crops and also make a good influence to your agriculture. And also using data and holding the data is a very good phrase to enjoying your yeah. Okay. Time is coming up. Okay, then that's all from my side. Okay, if you have any question, please feel free to mail me and connect to LinkedIn. Thank you for your time. Dhanyabad.
Thank you, Mr. Nagata, for the very lucid presentation. It is indeed, we are actually moving very fast from, Japan has already moved into 5 IR, and we are also adopting 4th IR at a speed that we haven't thought of, and COVID has actually increased the speed. Product traceability is something that needs to be very well thought of, because that would increase our value as we move into certain very high value products like organic, or products where there is a traceability issue. For example, shrimps, where we have to go down to the farms and the actual farmers. Having said that, I will now move into the next speaker, Ms. Chinmaya Devulgankar. Sorry for my pronunciation. She is a managing director of the Food Chain ID and is the honorary secretary of Association of Food Scientists and Technologists India, the Mumbai chapter. She has over 17 years of experience in the field of certification. She would be the right person to talk about GFSI food certification, vegan, non-GMO. Like, these are the kind of certifications which are very much needed as you move into exporting to markets like the European Union, because they don't allow GMO. So we would like, it will be a pleasure to hear her. Just a bit of housekeeping one-liner, that all presentations will be shared and uploaded. So many of you are finding it difficult to hear. Please do not worry. You will have access, of course, with the consent of the speakers. Ms. Chinmay, please proceed.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I know my name and surname is pretty difficult to pronounce and remember, so I normally correlate my name Chinmay with Chennai so that it becomes easier. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I guess I'm audible.
You are very much audible. Thank you.
Thank you. I am the head of Indian Office of Food Chain ID, which is the American company into certification services for food safety, product identity, and agriculture sustainability. I am also honorary secretary with AFSTI, the Association of Food Scientists and Technologists of India, for Mumbai chapter. So AFSTI is an association which bridges the gap between the food safety professionals, the industry, the academia, and try to integrate the solutions with a win-win portfolio. So this is the background, and what I'm going to talk about is why do we really need quality standards and certifications. And if I have to ask guys a general opinion, it would be like it's a piece of paper, and it just help us to show due diligence, etc. So all that is fine, but if you really see from today trade point of view, these quality standards and certifications basically help in mitigating the issues associated with non-tariff barriers, besides demonstrating sustainability compliance. Now, we all know that when a trade is formed, we have tariff as well as non-tariff barriers, and the majority of the time, the reason for rejection of a consignment is the non-tariff barriers, the reason associated with that. And if I have to take a quick summary of the reasons of non-tariff barriers which are associated with the technical aspect, you can see here from the screen. It could be quality conditions of importing countries. It could be unjustified sanitary and phytosanitary conditions. It could be unreasonable packaging, labeling, product standards, or maybe some kind of fraudulent with respect to certificate of origin or certificate of authenticity, etc. And besides this, there are also now the requirements which are coming in, especially from the COVID-19 situation as well. The occupational health and safety regulations, the employment regulations with respect to social standards, as well as demonstrating the eligibility of exporting firms. So these are some way the reasons of rejections. I mean, if we see really the recall that has happened, it is mind-boggling. I mean, if we have to see the recall which has happened just from 1st of Jan to till now, we have had recall of about 127 products, and most of the time the reasons are non-tariff barriers. So if I have to give some examples, I mean, if you can see here, this is the latest one which happened on 8th May, peanuts. Aflatoxin rejection by Netherlands. Now, I have hidden the name of the company and the details of this rejection, but it's a complete, openly available database which says that, what was the reason of rejection. Now, if you see this is basically the product issue, but resulting because of the non-process compliances or maybe having an inferior quality of the raw material. I'm just taking another example, which is on the gluten-free products. Now, if you see here the reason of rejection, what it says is almost 10% of the grain-based foods labeled as gluten-free, and over 35% of those do not contain gluten by nature in reality, but have been found to be contaminated with it up to 90 times more than the permissible limit. So typically when a gluten-free claim has to be made, it has to be less than up to 20 ppm of gluten is allowed. But now in this case, they have found it up to 90%. So it's like 180, more than 180 ppm of gluten was found, because of which this was rejected again on 6th May. I've just taken the recent data. 30th May, taken another example, Gawar gum, and we all know that India is one of the major exporter of Gawar gum. And here the reason is absence of health mark on Gawar gum powder from India, from Poland, and classified as fraudulent documentation. So the moment it is classified as fraudulent documentation, it has a different impact than the food safety issue. Another example from a different category. Now here it was the cinnamon from the spices category, and this was recalled 29th April. This was recalled on various things, but the reason of recall was the lack of label in Scandinavian language, and it was notified by Norway. Now this has been classified as mislabeling. So these are, so one was a food safety issue because of some maybe process compliances. The second one was related to maybe the self-declaration, because typically gluten-free is a self-declaration. So improper self-declaration. Then the third one is because of the label issues. This is another one which is talking all about the misbranding of the product, which is on the confectionery side. Again, 30th March, very recent, and 24th March, it is about detection of salmonella in paprika and chili powder. So all these reasons of rejection has a cost associated with it, and that is what exactly management system standard is supposed to mitigate these problems, which could result into a very heavy recall. So you can imagine almost 127 recalls since the beginning of this year. It's quite a lot. So what are these, what is the general focus of these certification standards? So I'll classify our standards into two parts. One is a quality and the food safety standard, and the second one is a social standard, because as I have mentioned before, so first part is a product quality, product safety, and the second part is a conformance to the social requirements, environmental requirements. So the world has moved from just the product safety to the sustainability requirements. So when it comes to quality and food safety standard, it talks about the organization commitment. It talks about the factory standards, or in typical language, what we call it as prerequisite program, which focuses on infrastructure, hygiene, and sanitation requirement, product control, process control, HACCP, and now this also includes COVID-19 risk assessment. This is a new addition which has happened because most of the, not just the exporters, but also the customers want to ensure that their supply chain is conforming to COVID-19 risk assessment. Then there are management system elements, which is maybe internal audit, management review, etc. Then traceability, and I think Mr. Satoshi has already spoken on traceability. So it is one of the most important element when it comes to any trade activity. Without traceability, the trade is becoming increasingly challengeable. and then the legal compliances. So all these becomes a part of the quality standard, quality and food safety standard. And then there are a lot of sustainability standard, which basically talks on the 3 pillars, which is economic aspects, environmental aspects, and the social aspects. Now, I think with the current change in this, with the COVID situation, this sustainability will gain more importance on how did you handle your supply chain with respect to pay cut or with respect to other things. So there is going to be a lot of ages that will be added into the sustainability standard. Now, typically when we see about this, so we have a food chain, and every element of the food supply chain is required to demonstrate food safety, traceability, sustainability, compliances. I'll take few examples here. So for example, we have agricultural commodity and or let's say any other commodity. So there are commodity specific standards, like for example, Protera or Bon Sucro. Bon Sucro is typically for sugar, RTRS is for soya bean. Then we have number of standards on tea, coffee, cocoa, RSPO, which is on palm oil, then rainforest alliances, and so on. So every as per, so there is no fixed certification for all the commodities, and that is probably the unfortunate part, because it is really adding cost to every let's say grower or every exporter or every processor. The second part is, I mean, if I have to, I'm covering right now the primary produce chain, and the second part is the seafood, or let's say the farm or sea cod. India, as you know, that has the maximum share in case of export through seafood. Marine tops the almost like around 40% of the share when it comes to seafood. Now, in case of seafood, we have two types. One is the farm cultivation, and the second one is sea cod cultivation. So again, when it comes to primary, it is essentially demonstrating the sustainability requirement. Now, these sustainability requirements for farm, it is best aquaculture practices or global gap aquaculture. If it's a sea cod, then there is Marine Stewardship Council fishery, Marine Stewardship Council chain of custody, global alliances, SEDEX, and all these requirements. I mean, you just go on naming, and most of these ask the exporter to demonstrate compliance within the processing facility as well as at the primary producers. Same thing for fresh produce, which is on global gap, fruits and vegetable. I think this is the most popular standard. And then SEDEX, food safety for pack house, etc. And when it comes to animal farms, it is essentially the national or customer specific animal welfare standards. So they want to see how are the animals raised when they were culled, how was the culling process. So all these are at the farm level, at the primary level. Then when we come to the processing plant, so processing plant has got GFSI food safety standards like FSSC, BRC, SQF, IFS, 22,000, etc. Now the acceptability of these standards depends upon the region where you are exporting, and unfortunately, although GFSI has said once certified, accepted everywhere, unfortunately this is not the scenario. So if you are exporting, let's say to Europe, they probably will accept BRC and IFS, but they probably might not have a liking for FSSC. They will still ask you to go for something else. If you want to export to USA, they might ask you for SQF. So the main intention why GFSI had started with the benchmarking of the standard at a probably distributor level or at a middleman level, this is somewhere getting lost. And that's why you see so many standards on the you know, one person being certified for multiple standards. Then there are EHS standard, kosher, halal, which are country specific. Then there are voluntary product standards, which are like non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, lactose-free, organic, geographical identity, vegetarian, etc. And these are kind of again the individual or customer specific or country specific standards or certification body specific standards. So there is no unlike, like for example, FSSC or BRC, it's not like there's not only one standard, everyone has their own standard. Then there is warehouse and logistic, wherein most of the standard has got an extended scope to include warehouses and logistics. And then also there are standard for agents, brokers, and traders. So especially when you want to export to UK, there are the agent and brokers is a kind of mandatory certification. And then the allied industries, which is animal feed or pet food, food packaging, food equipment manufacturers, so multiple standards. And then there are other private standards like Tesco, Walmart, and those kind of standards. I remember with my previous organization, I have around 17 years of experience in certification field. And in my previous organization, we had started about 19 certification, new standards for certification in India. So it's pretty challenging, pretty taxing for also the exporters. So, but unfortunately, this is where we are in. And so if I have to put it in summary phase, so honestly speaking, certificate is not a piece of certificate, but it is actually a tool for ensuring compliance. मैं हमेशा बोलती हूँ कि ये टूल अगर नाई के हाथ में लगता है तो वो अच्छे से शेविंग करेगा, लेकिन बंदर के हाथ में लगता है तो वो गला भी काट सकता है. So this has to be used as a tool, not something that is a piece of certificate, because this is something that will ensure you to mitigate your risk on non-tariff barriers. The cost of recall is very high, and yeah, and this is the last one, and I would say that at an international level, it is not about one company or one commodity, but it is about the image of India for its integrity. So fraudulent documents, fraudulent this thing, it really takes a toll on India as a country. So that's from my side. Thank you so much. And this is my mail ID and the mobile number.
Thank you, Chinmayaji. This is very detailed presentation on food certification. We are today discussing COVID, and COVID all began in a wet market of China. So, you know, food certification, food traceability, and safety would be the driver of countries who would like to establish food value chain. You also rightly pointed out to an interesting fact, which is how products are shown in the portals of the European Union. You refer to RFS portal and the Eurofight portal. This is for the benefit of the companies who would like to see how they show if a product is rejected in a foreign market. May I now open the floor for Mr. Rohan Shah, the Vice President and Sales and Marketing at Jain's Farm Fresh Foods. He has over 20 years experience in food processing industry, and he is looking at the company sales and marketing in India, Middle East and Africa. Africa is actually now a new and growing region of interest for Indian government. Mr. Shah, the floor is.
Hello, Mr. Shah.
Thank you very much, everybody. So I've just quickly taken through the contract farming program that offers this. Yeah, so I'll quickly take you through the contract farming program that we have been doing for our food business. Past 20 years. The program is mainly divided into three parts, and as our food processing business has grown over the years, what seed has been irrigation, which has evolved into irrigation and high-tech irrigation systems, working with the farmers and helping them to grow better, produce better by adopting the high-tech irrigation practices. What we have been able to do while we ventured into the food business was, and when we started doing food processing business, the challenges which we came along and started getting into is the food supply which is available in India, and the varieties which are available in India were not really of processing quality. So we had to really go back and do do the work on the varietal part. So we started, the first thing we did was we started developing the onion varieties, which are high solid varieties, which are American varieties. We got the germplasm, we started growing them in Indian conditions, and then started producing the seed material and started working with the farmers on the contract farming program. While we use this terminology about contract farming, in today's world, we should talk this and correlate this with more of a contract farming or cluster farming. That's what it should be adopted and taken forward, because contract farming in Indian conditions, contracts with the farmers usually are challengeable. Weather conditions can vary, and if the food processing industry has to sustain and grow, then food industry, processing industry needs supplies at an assured price, and then only you can really compete in international market. So these are also challenges from India. Then you get into food processing business, the commodity prices are really volatile, and also the supply side is really volatile. And then you get into challenges. You may get into dishonoring the contracts if the supply is not secured. So contract farming program helped us to secure our raw material supplies for our onion dehydration business. We got the germplasm, like I said. We increased the yields for the farmers. The farmers used to get conventionally around 5 tons of yield per acre. We took the yields to 10 acre. We worked with the farmers hand in hand, trained them, adopted modern agricultural practices with them. We have Gram Sevaks who are working with this. We have a team of 60 people who work with these farmers hand in hand. They are stationed in villages and they'll maintain complete records of what has been sown, when it is sown, when it has been harvested, what intercropping was taken, what fertilizers were given, what sprays were taken at what point of time. So we manage the complete package of practices working with the farmer, and then get the complete stability part also done, which is most important part for customers, and growing requirements on food safety side. So this model has really worked very well for last 20 years, and what is helped us is to fulfill our commitment to the customers for continued supplies in the varied conditions of nature, where the excessive rainfall or more rainfall or less rainfall. We have been able to still secure our supply base and run our business and also manage the supplies. So that was on the onion. The next part is on the mango. We have also again re-engineered and started working on the practices and adopting technology on how mango as a crop, which is one of the leading export commodity out of India when it comes to processed food, and we have been one of the largest processor of mango in the world today. We have 3 factories, 11 aseptic lines, and we do everything and anything related to mango, leaving the fresh export side. So then we started getting into working with the increasing the mango production part, where the supply side was getting challenged, the demand was increasing, the supply was less, and it resulted into prices going up of the mango raw material. We looked at the varietal development part. Instead of the conventionally, farmers used to grow only 40 trees per acre, which people should have seen. We have encouraged farmers going up to 664 trees per acre. So this program is up and running in southern region, mostly in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu part. We have already around 100,000 farmers who are listed on this regeneration category. We have trained almost 600,000 farmers, and we have nursery which is built to capacity of 2 million plants. One of the challenge with farmers face is getting the right variety of planting material. And when they sow the mango tree, after 3 or 4 years only they realize that what they had sown was not going the right route. So these are the challenges that farmers have been going through, and we have really re-engineered and looking at a new perspective of mango production in the country today. And the last part that I would like to cover is on the mango. After mango, there's orange, which is another interest area for us. Again, the orange that we have in India is really not oranges. We have soft skin orange or a mandarin. What is being consumed as a juice or juice concentrate in the world is varieties called Valencia, Hamlin, Westin, Pera, Natal. We got the germplasm from Brazil. We have worked on this variety and it was under quarantine for some time. We worked on this variety for last 12 years. We took field trials and now it is into the fields of the farmers. We are looking at increasing the production of those varieties in India. We have already put up a project for citrus processing, and we are looking at not only meeting the requirements of citrus for India, where the requirement is growing for various applications, but also looking at India, why it cannot become an export hub for juice concentrates for the nearby countries, and also grow the opportunity for our farmers to do better and grow better while they do take production of orange also. That's all from my side on the contract farming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. This shows this presentation is a little bit different from the rest of the presentation, because where it shows that what there is a lot of entrepreneurship in India and new things we can always go and do, and there is a lot of learning from other countries. There are a lot of variety of fruits, and in a globalized world, of course, you have certain varieties which are used in juice like Brazilian orange, which can now be cultivated and done in India. May I now request our last speaker, Mr. Sunil Anwari, General Manager, Namdari Farm Fresh Private Limited, for his intervention. He is a food technologist by profession with over 30 years of experience in food processing, dairy, and agricultural companies. He actually is working in Namdari Seed Private Limited for exports of fruits and vegetables to the UK, European market, Australia, and the Middle East. Mr. Anwari, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Sunil from Namdari Fresh, part of Namdari Seeds Private Limited, which is a Bangalore-based company, and it is a multinational company in truly sense, Indian multinational company, which is into hybrid vegetable seeds, producing and marketing worldwide, diversified into fresh fruits and vegetables, growing and exports. So we are doing from last 22 years exports of vegetables from almost 5 places in India, and we are also present outside India in Eastern Europe. Recently we have invested into Bulgaria, and from there we are bringing vegetables into Europe, and long term we have ideas to get vegetables and fruits to India also. As a last speaker, it is always a big responsibility after post lunch addressing to the audience, or as a last speaker, but I will try to keep my thoughts short and crisp to the point. Today's agenda is basically post-COVID scenario, or what is going to happen to the industry, specifically to the industry which I am related to, that is export of fresh fruits and vegetables. So when the lockdown was announced, we were very much worried because everything closed and the commitments were very high. Farmers, thousands of contract farmers are associated with Namdari Seeds, and apart from that, our commitments with the customers. But later we found the way, because as somewhere there was a end of the light, there was a light end of the tunnel, that some flights started operating out of Bangalore, Mumbai, and Delhi like places, and we immediately took permission from government and we activated our packing facility, and we started packing vegetables and started supplying to our customers. Mainly UK is our customer. UK, Europe, Australia, these places we supply our vegetables. We are BRC certified global gap company. As I am experienced about 30 years into the field of food processing and agriculture, and I'm working with Namdari Seeds from last 20 years. So I was right from the scratch of this project till today, where we have expanded beyond the frontiers of India, and we have gone to our other places and also grown up multifold. So I want to convey a very clear message to the audience that as per my experience, I feel this COVID has some silver lining also. This is going to bring a big opportunity to companies based on agricultural produce. I will keep myself specific to the vegetables and fruits. So I feel there is a golden time for us coming days, as the field where we are related is a part of a basic need of human being. And I remember a few years back there was a sort of slowdown in Europe and UK, and many of the companies which are dealing this kind of produce were were very much worried what is going to happen. And that time it was a very surprising experience for me that the orders were increased rather than decreasing. So I tried to probe what could lead to this kind of things, and why the orders are getting more. Have people started eating more because of the slowdown? But the interesting fact, what I could discover is the people started cooking their meals at home rather than going outside. So a lot of vegetables were participants into their daily menu, and that is where the consumption of vegetables was gone up. And in any case, out of all the basic needs, we cannot compromise with food, and food is an integral part. We will have to buy the food. So that is where we found that one, as it is related to case study, I would like to give you the example. Now for exports, we were just spending something about 90 to 120 rupees per kilo air freight. And when the lockdown started, and when some of the airlines started operating, they started opening their mouth very wide, as big as 230 to 260 rupees per kilo. It's more than double. Even then, we found there have been sizable orders from UK and Europe. Of course, we are running short of the space. So that indicates, of course, this will not be very sustainable, that I agree, because food prices will impact with this kind of additions or overheads. So, but even then, the requirement of food will always increase. And another very important aspect of this particular scenario is, I think, as an Indian, we should take advantage of this, that in the world, China is dominating in all fields, including fresh fruits and vegetable trade. Wherever we go, we have a major competition from African countries. We have competition from countries like Turkey, Egypt, Southeast Asia, like Thailand, like companies are there. Then if we go, there are countries like Spain. But if you see, a lot of countries have badly affected with this problem, and there are going to be a long-term impact of the situation which today occurred. I feel, apart from these countries, China is the biggest competitor for Indian fresh fruits and vegetable industries. But if you see the sentiment of China or against China growing in the entire world, that is going to open a golden page for opportunities for countries like India. And we must take advantage of this scenario. If you see, the mode of transport for vegetables are generally air, then sea, then by road. So now the bottleneck for Indian exporters is our distance from the market, especially export related market, because of which we are forced to use air traffic, which is itself a limitation. So we need to develop certain techniques like sea transport or something which will enable us to use sea transport, and we can replace most of the lines from China. There are few huge lines which China pumps into various countries. Let us keep it specific to Europe, which is in close vicinity, as America and Canada like places are little bit far for us for vegetables. So there can we pump our product in order to replace the competition and become a big giant into fresh fruits and vegetable industry. That is how India should look at it. The European economy now is definitely under stress because of problem. But as I earlier said, people are not going to stop eating food. So people are not going to stop eating vegetables. So I think we have to take this advantage. The another important thing of our scenario is the basically India is a multi-location country. We are spread in terms of various climatic conditions, and we can grow a lot of vegetables and fruits. There are certain specific fruits India has not traditionally got into, but our company is trying to get into, like some of the exotic fruits and all which we are trying to grow in the foothills of Himalayas or Himachal like places. So Indian companies can also explore this kind of opportunities so that we can go to the non-traditional lines which we could replace the competitors and consolidate our positions. Apart from this, I would also like to, as government authorities are also present in this program, why can't we explore our northeast potential? So the climatic condition, the soil condition and other things are very, very conducive. There are certain social and sometimes somewhere some security issues which could be addressed, and we can explore our northeast region for growing the non-traditional fruits and vegetables, which can be very big success for Indian economy, Indian agricultural industry. Apart from this, as I said, the air traffic is not very sustainable going forward for a long term and for a larger kind of proportions of the quantities. So why can't we find out a way right from, if we say from northeast we enter into via Burma, we get into Thailand, from there we go further, or even by sea route. There had been some efforts from government to explore the possibilities of getting shortest route through Iran by sea, taking our ships to there, from there getting them onto the railway network and get into Russia. Those kind of things, if we do, definitely post COVID, our field is going to have golden days going ahead. I'm very optimistic. I am very positive about the fresh fruits and vegetable industry, and my company is also very upbeat. Even this lockdown period, we are doing well. We could achieve our 75% of the routine export volumes, and we are trying to gain further. So this, I think, is a light end of the tunnel. And this COVID, although it has become a very big problem for human survival itself, but this will, if we purely see from the business point of view, this is going to open some of the non-traditional windows for countries like India, and we must take advantage of this. I thank you all for the patient hearing for my small exchange of thoughts. Hope you will find a few points important, and many of us will try to take it ahead. Thank you very much. Thanks for giving me opportunity. I am very thankful to World Trade Center and AFSTI. I am also a member of Food Scientists and Technologists this association. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sunilji, because you actually gave a very rosy post-COVID scenario amidst such, the lockdown and the sadness all over. It gave a new strength. Now, I have got some questions here, and the question is basically the first question about why are regulations not harmonized, and what can be done in this direction? I would like this to be taken up by Chinmayji first. I would also request party attendees to actually mark to whom they would like the questions to be addressed.
Hello, Chinmay.
Chinmayji?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So as I had mentioned that the non-tariff barriers, when a treaty is agreed between two governments, it is agreed for even the technical standards. It's not that technical standards are missed out. So the regulations, why it is not common, because everybody has their own way of looking at it. I mean, if I have to take a The same gluten-free standard for rest of the world is 20 ppm, but for Australia and New Zealand is 5 ppm. So it's their standard. When a treaty is agreed, even the technical standards are agreed. But the issue is what happens between the agreement and how that non-tariff things are used for recall activities. That's where the whole crux is. No way all the regulations can be made, although most of the countries will have regulations in comparison with codex standards, but then all countries are free to choose their own specifications.
If I may also add to this point that countries are moving higher and higher up in the food safety standards, while it is not but there would be certain commonalities, like if you are able to meet the organic standards of the US and the European Union, you are meeting more or less the organic standards of many other countries, because most other countries take these standards, develop to be, and then develop upon them. So basically what you need to do is to actually try to meet one or two of the core then you will not find it difficult to replicate. Now, the next question would be most likely towards Mr. Nagada, although it is generic, because it looks up the cost of a technology or a high technology, and Japanese technology is considered to be good but costly. So what is the cost of a technology that is there, and how do we actually make the technology available, and how can it also be costly?
Okay, thank you for your question. Okay, yeah, it is obvious that Japanese technology tend to expensive. So for Indian market, so two or three ways are available for Indian farmers. First, compared with China or other US or European units, so you can ask Japanese to price down. But unfortunately, Japanese tend to boast in only their quality, so it may sometimes not working. And second of all, maybe quality. Let's identify and specialize what kind of function you need from technology. For example, in terms of satellite imagery, there are two or three premium modem is available in the market. So in that case, begin with that, and then based on using that premium model, so after accumulating money, we can go for more a bit expensive wise technology. You can go. And third model is just comparison with Japanese and other countries technology. Then go ahead to the price wise model. Maybe is this good for answering your question?
It does partly answer the questions, and I may also add that as you start working with Indian startups and Indian technology farm, I think we will be able to deliver a more cost-effective technology, and where we can partner between the Japanese and Indian technology farms and explore third country markets like Africa.
Yeah.
So that requires a lot of other, technology related issues to be discussed, but which is beyond the scope. And now I move into the next question, and it's like more like a comment which talks about when the crops the relaxation of import duties on planting material, on seeds and other, basically the inputs to the agricultural produce for exotic plants, and that has been a number of companies have raised these issues that they find it difficult to get planting material, and that's something the government may need to look into. There is a question for you, Mr. Vance, which is more directed towards how they can set up a cold storage unit, which may be in the APIDA website very well laid out, but if you can just put it in few words.
Okay, I'll reply to your question. It is a very simple online process to apply for assistance to set up pack house. Pack house. The pack house contains. I'm getting voice disturbance.
Not a bit of disturbance. Can you please mute your
Voice is disturbed. Excuse me.
Mr. Vance now?
Yeah, I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, 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 sir. Yes, sir.
So I was just telling you that it's a very simple online application format which is for setting up a pack house. Pack house means including cold storage, sorting grading line, as well as a ripening chamber if required, and say area where the fruit or vegetables is taken in. It is called pre-inspection area, and the docking area. This is the design of pack house which people can apply for, and the assistance is, I told you that the assistance is available up to rupees 1 crore or 40% of the total cost of the project. And we prefer that it is already a bankable, means some assistance has already been taken from bank. This is the basic of setting up a infrastructure project under APIDA scheme. This was regarding the fresh fruit and vegetable. In processed food also, we have started giving assistance for upgradation of their existing unit with new technology. So sometime people approach us for a new color sorter machine used in, say, groundnut and dehydrated vegetables, and they can again get 1 crore and 40% of the total cost. This is per year per beneficiary. Am I clear, madam?
Yes, it is, and I thank you for the clarity. Sir, if you may also put a little bit on, what kind of proposals are APIDA putting forward to help they may not be, actually, they may not all be considered now, but the kind of proposals and the kind of subsidies and incentives you have already proposed with the government so that it benefits the industry.
Excuse me, madam. I have a call from chairman. I will join later. You can do other questions, sir. Please.
May I now also ask Ms. Rani to give, one clarificatory question was on certification and mutual recognition of certification. Today, do we have a mutual recognition of processes and certification with any country, EIC? Ms. Rani, are you there?
Yes, she's there. Hello, Miss Mamta Rani. Hello. Hello.
Okay, we will come back to her. By the time, let me take another question. Which are the top priority areas to focus on for agri-tech startup? And this one I would really give it to both Sunil and Roshan, who started from small companies into large companies to talk about, and then Santosh, Mr. Nagata has already given a lot of inputs into the type of agri-tech startup. So if you, Sunil and Rohan, please add.
Yeah, madam, could you please repeat the question?
The question is on what are the top priority areas to focus for a agri-tech startup. So if you are going into agri-tech startup, what can you really focus on?
Yes. I feel, madam, yes, I think the very important and very vital thing is to find out the market and what customer exactly is looking for, and where is the window available. And second very important thing is to invest into technology, so not to cut corners. So from the day one itself, it is very necessary that we keep ourselves at par with the world standards, so that will keep you ahead of the competition. And I think competition is what we have to beat, and if we beat the competition, we are the winner.
Okay, thank you. How much time do we actually have? Because we started a bit late and we are almost reaching 5:30. Do we have any window, or do we need to start summing up at this stage?
Dr. Mukherjee, you can extend it, no problem, because we started 15 minutes late, so we can very well extend it, because there are a lot of questions and people are keen to have answers to most of them. So you can continue.
Okay, so basically,
This is Roshani. This is Roshani. Would you want me to address the question on the agri-tech starter?
Hello, Dr. Mukherjee.
Yes, please. Please go. I was actually replying to Mr. Roshan. I am saying, please go ahead.
Thank you. So to reply that question, so it depends on which part of agri solution value chain that you want to get into. It can be input, it can be output, it can be value addition, it can be logistics. The areas are wide, and if you connect the dots, you can literally make a holistic view of the entire supply chain, and the opportunities are enormous in each and every aspect of the value chain. What is more important is to understand the gaps, and then look at the opportunities, and and the solutions are available. You can really use all the IOTAs or latest of the technologies, and if you can really find gaps and make the solutions available, there are takers for this kind of service providers. And I mean, industry is looking for solution providers when it comes to supply chain. Industry is looking for solutions where people can really do some backward integration job, working with the farmers. So when it comes to industry is looking for channel partners who can really do a lot of back end, front end job, and industry is doing the job of processing, value addition, taking the produce to the international markets, marketing it, taking it to the right people. So industry will continue to do its job, but also not each company and every company can do everything which is required to do, and because the resources are limited, time is limited, management time is important. So any startup who want to get into this space, they can really look at gaps, and if there are any people in a team interested, in organization interested, we are open to work with them and take them to the areas where the opportunities are, and if they can work, we are there to partner with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I would now start summing up given the time shortage, I would start summing up the core findings of the webinar. What we see that we are at a very difficult time where we are in a world has faced supply chain disruptions. COVID has led to some loss in businesses, but it has also created certain opportunities, because the opportunity comes in terms of faster adaptation of technology, both in terms of the companies that are working in the supply chain, as well as in terms of the government processes and procedures, as we saw from the presentations, are now going more and more online. The COVID also brings us an opportunity that value chains and supply chains can move away from a country like China, and we can get a bigger share of the global business. It also talks about, we also discussed that, you know, India does have the potential to diversify its production baskets. Like, you are producing new varieties of oranges, you can have exotic fruits and vegetables, and you can also diversify your markets, and you are entering into new markets like Africa, and there are huge opportunities in both this aspect. Of course, there are some areas of concern, and some of them have also come up in the chat. The areas of concern relates to you know, first, the logistic cost, high logistic cost, establishment of the logistic networks. At times, factories could not operate in full scale. Then it also looks into the jobs. As you move into more specialized fields like, you know, nutrition, food safety, food technology, so there may be a shortage of skills even in a very developing country, large country with a population like India. Even Food Safety Authority of India has shortages, and you don't have a food safety officer in every port. Custom officers double up. So therefore, there are a few glitches that needs to be looked into. We need to understand that the new mode of doing business will be online, and online business is going to continue. There will be need for more such. What I would like is that today what happens is that there are a number of queries that are coming out, which are country specific, product specific, or specific what a startup can do, how can I meet. So, you know, sometimes it is important to come out with certain backgrounder documents, or as we move into more online versions, it will be good to have a stringent backgrounder document which lay out market strategies, industry strategies, standard requirements, and how to meet those standards, kind of a thing, how to do business or how to do export, kind of guidebooks, which will enable the businesses to move forward and, you know, operate. Some of the queries are always there. There is so many export clearance agencies. You have Spice Board, Tea Board, Coffee Board, MPDA. So, you know, sometimes it becomes very difficult for the industry to follow all the instructions and the requirements, along with the long list of requirements of the importing countries, which Chinmay has very elusively laid out. Now, now coming to the core, now we are almost reaching the end of the session. We have almost kind of covered our timeline. I would now give the floor to World Trade Center for their vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Mukherjee, for a wonderful moderated session. Today, along with the other participants, we also had officials from Agriculture Department of Odisha government was there. We also had Mr. Hanuman Gowda Belugurki, who is the chairman of Karnataka Agriculture Price Commission, had joined today. I would request you if he would, Mr. Hanuman Gowda, would like to talk something. Is he there?
Please go ahead.
Oh, yeah, okay, fine. So to close the session, may I now invite Captain Somesh Batra, our Vice Chairman, World Trade Center, Mumbai, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my utmost pleasure to thank everybody who's been there in the panel, starting with Madam Arpita. You were excellent as a moderator. And then Mr. Watts from APEDA, you have given some very nice ideas and very clear mindset on how and what you do. Then, of course, Madam Mamta told us about certifications and how best to work with her and go forward. Japanese friend of ours, Satoshi Nagata. Of course, Japanese are very, very particular, very well disciplined, and also bring in definite technology. I would suggest that going forward, they also look at training some of the Indian people here, and then they can impart knowledge and multiply it for the recent country. Japan is a good friend of India, and we should capitalize on our friendship with them. Then, Madam Chinmay, you've been excellent and gave the non-tariff barriers as well as certification. I myself was involved in the certification with TNO of Netherlands as a partner and as a director on that, and I understand this business very well. And you are very good, and I hope that people take advantage of your experience. Then, of course, I thank Mr. Roshan Shah. He's been in the contract farming and also developing new varieties of mango as well as orange, and then enhancing the field for Indian exports, which is fantastic. And we look forward to more and more support from you to the farmers. Then, of course, we had Mr. Sunil Anwari in this sad moment of COVID-19. He was the one who has lifted everybody's spirits that there are opportunities. And I am sure everybody will take advantage of those opportunities. Now, in that front, I have a few suggestions myself. Number one, we should all look at our government and our systems to reduce our documentation and make it as simple as possible. As far as the markets are concerned, the world is very large. Sometimes it is good to go for low-hanging fruits to our neighboring countries and see what we can export into those countries, and then look at the high-end countries where we can get better benefit and reliability. Also, as a reliability is concerned, sometimes these agriculture products which are paid over, we'll understand, at the drop of a hat, the government puts a ban on it. For example, onions. I am in shipping industry. We carry a lot of onions for various destinations. From day one to one, when you have planned, it is already stopped because the prices go high. So I think there has to be a system where certain percentage of exports is meant for separately, even when the prices go high. Then, of course, World Trade Center can facilitate matchmaking between the suppliers, between the supply chain operators, between the producers, exporters, and assist the whole organization and see how best they can support. We are in the business of supporting trade, and at World Trade Center, we will support every activity. We also have World Trade Centers in Jaipur, in Goa, as well as Bhubaneswar. We can assist them. Supply chain has been disrupted. And it will get disrupted for considerable point of time, and I think everybody should take note of it, that the transportation system has gone haywire, while the imports are coming and sitting in the ports are not getting cleared because the factories are closed. Similarly, exports cannot go out. Ships have had to cancel their calls because there is nothing to load. Of course, it will take time, but I think all of us are here to put our heads together. And I thank Anil as well as Rupa and my colleague Vijay Kalantri for making this possible, and have a wonderful, wonderful period ahead, and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And also special thanks to Chinmay and Nilesh for having the support of AFSTI Mumbai chapter and the Indigram Labs to promote this event aggressively. Our next event is on 20th of May, where we are talking to the officials from Customs, DGFT and ECGC, and the topic is on supporting exporters sale through COVID-19 crisis. The communication will be sent to all. Please join. And with this, we close this today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, NWDC.
Thanks a lot.